Totechanemu Morna Levitkana Koresh Adonai Laorech Yamim Yitkadal Yitkadash Meraba Yamati Brachi Rusev Yamnich Machusei V'chayechon V'yamichon V'chayeticho Beit Yisrael V'agalav Izman Karev Yimru Amen Yehesh Meraba Mevorach Melamalo Me'amaya Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitba'al V'yitramam V'yitnasei Yitada, Vitale, Vitalal, Shemedi Kucha, Berechu, Leila, Mikol Berchata, Vishirata, Tishbachata, Venechemata, Damiram Be'ama, Vimru, Amen. Yehe Shalama Rabba Min Shemaya, V'chayim Aleinu V'Kol Yisrael, Vimru, Amen. Say Shalom B'Rama, V'Riya, say Shalom Aleinu V'Kol Yisrael, Vimru, Amen.
And good morning, everyone. As we have some feedback. Okay, so the first Mishnah in chapter 3 in the name of Akavia ben Mahalel, who we spoke about yesterday, it says as follows: Histakel b'shlosha davarim, reflect on three things. Ve'enata ba lidei avera, and as a consequence, if you reflect on these three things, you won't encroach upon any kind of sin. Dama ayin ba'ata, know from whence you came. Well, anata holech, know where you're going. Lifnei miata atid liten din v'cheshbon, and also know about before whom you will eventually have to stand and give an account. And then he continues. Ma'ayin bata, so where did you come from? Mitipas rucha, from a fetid drop of semen. Well, anata holech, and where are you going to? L'makom afar, to a place of dust. Rima v'tola'at, a place that is infested with worms and maggots. And before whom will you have to stand and give an account? Before the King of Kings, the Almighty God. Well, this is an extremely depressing and sobering kind of Mishnah at first glance, and it's difficult to understand how this would in fact achieve what it's intended to do by helping a person to avoid sin. On the other hand, all that it does is it just makes you feel miserable about your whole life, and that it's completely worthless. It has no value because you come from a bit of genetic material, and in the end you decay in a grave somewhere, and it's not a very happy thought at all. So there's another way to reframe this Mishnah and to understand it in an entirely different way, because what Akavia ben Mahalel is doing over here is having a conversation between two different parts of a human being. And that's reflected in the fact that he asks the question first: know where you're coming from, and know where you're going, and know before whom you're going to be giving an account. And then he goes back again and he makes this explicit: know where you're coming from a fetid drop, etc. So perhaps the first part of this conversation, know where you're coming from and know where you're going, is a conversation which a person has directed towards his own soul. Know where you're coming from, know who you are. You are a part of Almighty God. You're carrying part of the divine within you. Know where you're going. Know that you have incredible, incredible power to reach the greatest spiritual heights in the course of your life, and to be able to touch the divine, that you are a supreme being that is capable of incredible, incredible things. So that's a conversation that one has with one's soul. And then there's a conversation that's had with one's body. And what about you, my body? What can we say about you? Well, the picture over here is an entirely different one. You come from fetid drop, you're going back to a grave. So therefore, what am I going to do in my life? Where am I going to place emphasis? Am I going to feed this body, or am I going to feed this soul? The one is capable of so much, the other one is destined for a kind of emptiness and part of the physical world, decaying in the physical world, and being part of that, being part of nature. So if a person focuses on the higher part of oneself and recognizes that it is my soul that is able to stand before the Almighty ultimately, and that the body, if it was going to stand before the Almighty, has absolutely nothing to say, that is the key to being able to lead a life that is free of sin, a higher life, a more dignified life, a more spiritual life, because it's going to be the life of the soul over the life of the body. And I believe that is what Akavia ben Mahalel is trying to get to in this this first Mishnah. Rabbi Chanani ben Akasha Meir Ratza Kodesh Baruch Hu Zak Yisrael Lefichach Hirbem Ter Mitzvah Shneimar Nechfetz Man Shalom.
Amen. Yehishmi Rabbi Baruch Olam, Adonai Almighty Yisrael. Amen. 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 Shkoyach.
Ayel. Robert, that's a fine grey beard that you are growing there. A little bit more practice and it becomes as long as mine.
Well, I have a feeling that I'm waiting for somebody to tell me that I should shave it off. So,
well, Shloshim is coming up pretty soon, isn't it? Must be in the coming week.
yes, I think it's Tuesday. I think
Tuesday. Oh, okay.
I think it's Tuesday. Yes.
Right.
I can never work these things out, but I suppose we'll keep the full day, so it'll be Tuesday evening, I suppose.
She passed away
Thursday
in the nighttime, wasn't it?
Yes, she did about sort of 10 o'clock-ish. Yeah.
Right. And that was the
9th. The 9th of the month.
Okay. We'll check. It's the 30th day, and of course, again, part of the day is a full day. So that Shloshim ends just after Shacharit.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think fortunately we've got one mathematician in the family. Joel will manage to work it out. So,
and if not Joel, then Isaac will.
Or Isaac will.
So you want somebody to tell you to shave your beard and to have a haircut, do you?
Well, yes, I have to start work next week, so I think I probably ought to shave.
Well, I think they'd be very impressed if you turned up with the moustache and a beard.
A strange colour though, they don't quite match.
Well, that's because you dye your moustache.
No, I don't.
Isn't it bizarre? Isn't it how it works? Sometimes you see these people with black eyebrows and white beards or white hair.
I'd love to work out. You just mentioned the genetics, of course, of the semen, but actually, I'd love to know what the genetics of having a black moustache and a white beard was.
well, there you go. That's something which can keep you occupied for the next few years.
Yes.
All right. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
I presume the family are coming up to spend Shabbat with you again.
No, they're not. They're going to come to shul to you. I wanted them to come to me, but they wanted to come to you for Shacharit on Shabbos. So I'll be up here, but they'll be down in Southampton.
Right. All right. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Good morning, onliners. All ready? Who's going to start? Peter, you in charge? Designate.
Okay, well, good morning, everybody. Humbled.
Oh, sorry, let me just say, Karen, I haven't seen you online since your father passed away. So first of all, I want to wish you long life and ask you how you are and how you're managing.
Yeah, it's it's quite difficult. I mean, it's quite difficult emotionally because the one thing I didn't realize is that when my mother passed away about 6 years ago, but when that happened, you know, my father was there, he was in the house and the flat, and everything just carried on. Suddenly, everything's a bit different, and you know, it's quite emotional, basically.
Yes. The realization, and forgive me if I'm putting this rather harshly, but the realization at a certain point of one's life that one is an orphan, you know, in terms of not having parents. Suddenly, it's another incredible stage of life. You know, I have this theory that there are genes that are just waiting to be turned on at various points of our lives. So, you know, there's a marriage gene. When you get married, suddenly the idea that you are responsible for another person, etc., in an entirely new way, turns on this kind of a whole new set of responsibilities, emotions. When you have your first child, the parent gene is turned on, the grandparent gene is turned on, you know, and there's also a gene that's turned on when both your parents have passed away. Yeah. And it is a whole new kind of internal sense of realization, another stage of life, the sense that there's no one above me, you know, that I'm somewhere at the top of the family tree now, and a whole new sense of, it's very hard to actually put one's finger on to say what is this sense of awareness, of responsibility that one has, you know, as carrying the family forward. You know, the whole sense of that, well, now it's down to me. There's no one else to lean on now. There's no one else you can turn to. Now it's you know, there's no mummy, there's no daddy. You know, there's comforting arms and hugs and you know, advice and all that, and you suddenly feel very bereft. You know, that you're on your own and you have to, in a sense, step up to the mark. Yeah.
You just have to somehow you have to get through it, and you know, and then we had our daughter, one of our granddaughters' birthdays yesterday, right, in the middle of it all. So you know, and you just have to get on with that as well, because she wants a happy day. Yes. So you know, you just get on with that.
Yes, there's an old Jewish saying that we have learned over the course of the centuries, to cry with our left eye and laugh with our right eye at the same time. All right, let's start. Peter, you're about to allocate the parts.
So I'll take the first slot so that I do my bit, but then I invite one of the stars to take over when I've done Baruch Shema.
Okay.
Baruch Shema v'chiach v'alom baruchu, Baruch Oseh v'reishis, Baruch Omer v'oseh, Baruch Gozeh kayom, Baruch Marachem al ha'aretz, Baruch Marachem al habrios, Baruch Mashalem socher tov lire'ov, Baruch Hai la'ad v'kayom la'netzach, Baruch Podeh u'matzil, Baruch Shemo, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam, ha'el ha'ov ha'rachamon, Cham kulol b'fer amo, Meshubach
Meshubach again.
Meshubach fo'or bilshon chasidov v'avodov. U'shirei David avdecho nechalelcho Adonai Eloheinu bish v'chos u'vizmaros negadlecho shabachacho unforechacho v'nazkir shimcho v'nam lichocho malkeinu Eloheinu yochid heich alamim melech meshubach fo'er
Meshubach, same again,
Meshubach fo'er adei ad shemo hagadol Baruch atah Adonai melech mechulol b'tish v'chos.
Thank you. Karen, would you say Ashrei, please?
Ashrei yoshvei beitecha od yehalelucha sela. Ashrei ha'am shechachalo, Ashrei ha'am she'adonai Elohav. Tehillah David. Aramimcha Elohai hamelech, va'avarecha shimcha le'olam va'ed. B'chol yom avarechecha, v'halalal shimcha le'olam va'ed. Gadol Adonai umhulal ma'od, v'ligdulato ein cheker. Dor lador yashabach ma'asecha, ugvurotecha yagidu. Hadar kavod hodecha, b'divrei niflotecha asicha. Ve'ezuz norotecha yomeru, ugdulatacha asaprana, zecherav tuvacha yabiu, ve'sidkatka yiranenu, chanun varachum Adonai erech apayim ugdol chased. Tov Adonai lechol v'rachamav al kol ma'asav. Yeducha Adonai kol ma'asecha v'chasidecha yivaruchucha. Kavod malchutaka yomeru ugvuratacha yudaberu. Lahodia livnei ha'adam gvuratav uchvod hadar malchuto. Malchutaka malchut kol olamim v'mimshaltacha b'chol dor v'dor. Somech Adonai lechol chanoflim, v'zochef lechol hakfufim. Einei chol eilecha, yisaberu v'ata noten lahem, et ochlam be'ito. Poteach et yadecha, umatzbiach lechol chayrotzon. Sadiq Adonai b'chol derachav, v'chasid b'chol ma'asav. Karav Adonai lechol karaav, lechol asher yikra'uhu be'emet. Ratzon yere'av ya'aseh et shavatam. Yishameh v'yoshiem. Shomeh Adonai et kol ohavav, ve'et kol ha'sha'im yashmid. Tehila Adonai yidaber pi, v'vorech kol basar, shem kodsho l'olam va'ed. Va'anachnu nevarechya, me'ata v'ad olam. Hallelujah.
So you see, the bereavement is like a little pilot lamp that's inside a boiler, and the pilot lamp is there alight all the time. And something happens, and you can't even sometimes even know what it is, but suddenly that little light flares up, and you go, vroom, like the gas and turns on, and it just comes to the fore, and it takes you over, and you suddenly realize, you thought, oh, I was doing really well, I'm really in control, and then you discover actually that there's this little thing going on deep down inside you that and of which you have very little control. It's going to flare up of its own accord, and you're not quite sure what's going to set it off. What you've said these prayers so many times, and yet something happened while you were davening that just lit that caused that little pilot light inside of you to flare up, and all the emotion comes out, and it's wondrous, really, because it's just there all the time. You see, it becomes harder to light that pilot light over the course of the years. That's unfortunately the problem. So it's there, but it doesn't light up so easily anymore. But in the early days of bereavement, in the first months, it's very active. And funny little things. You can be talking to one of your grandchildren, and you'll see them doing something, and suddenly you find yourself tearing up, and you think, goodness, what started that? What happened there? And similarly over here, you're davening to Hashem, and suddenly, there's a sensitivity of your soul, and you just feel very, very emotional and connected and touched, and it's something which is actually very beautiful. It's and bereavement, I always say that bereavement is very, very deep. We don't always realize just how deep it is and how it affects us, all the time, just down there beneath the surface as we're getting on with our lives and doing our things. But there is this thing just beneath the surface waiting to express itself, to pop up in unexpected moments. Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing those emotions with us. It's really beautiful. All right, Doris, Yishtabach, please.
Yishtabach Shimcha Le'ad Malkenu, Ha'el HaMelech HaGadol VeHaKadosh, B'Shamayim u'Ba'aretz, Ki Lecha Nea Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Abotenu. Shir Ushbacha, Halel v'Zimra, Oz u'Mimshala, Netzach Gedola v'Gebora, Tehila ותפארת, קדושה ומלכות, ברכות והודאות מעתה ועד עולם. ברוך אתה אדוני, אל מלך גדול בתשבחות, אל ההודאות, אדון הנפלאות, הבוחר בשירי זמרה מלך, אל חי העולמים.
Thank you. And Martin, the blessing for the morning and the Shema, please.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, yotzei or uvorei choshech, oseh shalom uvorei et hakol. El melech ne'eman, Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai echad, Baruch Shem kavod malchutav le'olam va'ed, v'ahavta et Adonai elechecha b'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol ma'odecha, v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha. ושיננתם לפניך ודיברת בם, ושבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. והיה אם שמע תשמעו אל מצוותי, אשר אנוכי מצווה אתכם היום להבבה, את אדוני אלוהיכם, ולעבדו בכל לבבכם ובכל נפשכם, ונתתי מטר ארצכם ואיתו יורה ומלקוש, ואספת דגוניך וטירתך ויתריך, ונתתי עשב, וסובתך לנהמתך, ואכלת ושבעת. ישמרו לכם פן יפתה לבבכם, וסרתם ועבדתם אלוהים אחרים, והשתחוויתם להם. ברא אף אדוני בכם, ועצה את השמיים ולא יהיה מטר, והאדמה לא תיתן את יבולה, ועבדתם מהרה מעל הארץ הטובה אשר אדוני נותן לכם. ושמתם את דברי אלה על לבבכם ועל נפשכם, וקשרתם אותם לאות על ידיכם, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניכם, ולימדתם אותם את בניכם, לדבר בם בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען ירבו ימיכם וימי מיניכם, על האדמה אשר נשבע אדוני לאבותיכם לתת לכם, כימי השמיים על הארץ. ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמר, דבר אל בני ישראל ואמרת עליהם ויעשו להם ציצית על כנפי בגדיהם לדורותם, ונתנו על ציצית הכנף פתיל תכלת. והיה לכם לציצית וראיתם אותו, וקשרתם את כל מצוות אדוני ועשיתם אותם, ולא תצורו אחרי לבבכם ואחרי עיניכם, אשר אתם זונים אחריכם, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים אלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Thank you. And to Israel, please.
Su Yisrael, Kumar Yisrat Yisrael, Umecha Yehuda Yisrael, Go Aleinu Adonai Sabaoth Shemo Kadosh Yisrael, Baruch Atah Adonai Goal Yisrael.
Johnny, Aleinu, please, and Shir Shalom.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצאי בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם וגורלנו ככל אמונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד ארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל ושכינת עוזו בגובהי מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשבות אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. על כן נקווה לך אדוני אלוהינו לראות מהרה בתפארת עוזך, להעביר גילולים מן הארץ ואלילים קרות יכרתון, לתקן עולם במלכות שדה, וכל בני בשר יקראו בשמך, להבנות ידיך כל רשעי ארץ, יכירו וידעו כל יושבי תבל, כי לך תקרא כל ברך, תשבע כל לשון. לפניך אדוני אלוהינו, יכראו ויפולו, ולכבוד שמך יקר יתנו, יקבלו כולם את עול מלכותך, ותמלוך עליהם מהרה לעולם ועד. כי המלכות שלך היא, ולעולמי עד תמלוך בכבוד. ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. היום יום שביעי בשבת שבו היו...
Did you say Shishi?
שישי, yeah. היום יום שישי בשבת שבו היו הלוויים אומרים בבית המקדש, אדוני מלך גאות, לבש לבש אדוני עוז, התעזר אף תיקון תבל בל תימות נכון כשעך מאז מעולם אתה.
It's a short psalm, so why don't you just finish it?
נשאו נהרות אדוני נשאו נהרות כולם, ישעו נהרות דך ים, מקולות מים רבים, אדירים משברי ים, אדיר במרום אדוני, עדותיך נאמנו מאוד לבטך נאה וקדוש. קדוש, אדוני לאורך ימים.
Thank you very much. All right, everyone. Unless anybody has any particular things they wanted to raise, I need to pop out and buy some challah. Give me your orders and I'll buy for you as well. There is a great debate about who makes the nicest challah. What are your...
Definitely Daniels.
I agree. Daniels, anybody else have... Has anybody tried the new Grods?
No.
In Golders Green? Okay. And Carmeli?
All right.
Mr. Baker?
Daniels
agree.
is easiest because you can park there as well.
Where?
Daniels is also easy because you can park.
Yes, it's easier
Compared to
parking.
some of the other ones is
Yeah.
more
But you
difficult.
have to queue unless you go very early in the morning.
That's why I'm going now.
Yes.
I do my Thursday morning.
We like Carmeli's bagels, but we like Daniel's round colour that you can break off the bits.
I tell you, I have a theory that Carmeli's baker has changed because their bagels have changed. The bagels used to be really crisp and boiled and crisp, and they're not a shadow of their former selves now. It's not the same thing. It's a tragedy, really, a Jewish tragedy. I was thinking of writing to the Jewish Chronicle about it. I'm sure it's a letter. Yeah. Who makes the best donuts?
Daniels as well. They make fantastic donuts.
I think
Daniel's donuts good.
I think Parkway's get it for donuts. Their challah also nice, Parkway's challahs, but not as good as Daniel's.
Grudge in the new
Stamford
place
Hill.
opposite. No, yeah, but they've got one in. There's one in opposite Kosher Kingdom as well. But I heard the one in
that's the new
Stamford
one.
Hill is very special. I think
Yeah.
it's a franchise.
No,
So they all make their own.
I think those are actually owned by Grods. Those
Oh,
two are
right.
owned by the family. One in Golders Green used to be a franchise, now it's been taken over by the family.
Do you know that there's one in Boreham Wood, Orley, which is really
Yes,
quite
all is
special.
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Heather goes there in the mornings for the children, and she always gets there early, 7 o'clock, and buys some stuff. It's lovely.
Yeah, no, all is
That's
good.
dedicated.
Yeah. You know who used to run that, used to own that, was the Zacharias, Baruch and Tony Zachariah.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then they sold it, yeah, for a number of years. All right, everyone. Shabbat shalom.
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 See you on
Shabbat shalom.
See you
Short
Sunday.
and sweet.
Bye.